Hello guys, I'm Dash with Binary Bytes. Today I'm going to be going over a really simple sort of thing. It's going to be a pretty short video, but it's going to be setting up your Ubuntu 18.04 server. So let's say you're using DigitalOcean like I am here, or Vultr, or any other public cloud. I'm going to go ahead and create an 18.04 server. A basic one. Right in San Fran, we're going to do, let's just do binary bytes. And you're going to, once this is set up, you're going to get an email with your IP username, which is going to be root, and the temporary default password that they set up for you. Now, I'm going to go to passwordsgenerator.net. This is a really cool tool that'll actually generate your passwords client-side, so they're not being sent actually on the internet. I'm going to do a 32 character password, exclude symbols, copy that, and I'm going to post or paste that into Sublime Text. Now, I use Sublime as an alternative to Notepad++ and VS Code. It's just a good tool that I've had for a long time, used quite a bit. Now if we go back, this should be just about done. Yep, finishing up. And if we go and look, we have an email. Just gonna copy all this. There we go. Alrighty, so our IP is right here. Now, another cool thing you can do with DigitalOcean, this is another reason I love them, is you can just copy. And there you go. Now, for our SSH client, I'm going to be using MobaXterm. It is absolutely fantastic. Got nothing but good things to say about it. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and start a session here in SSH session. Specify username of root. All should be good. Now it's going to ask for a password, which is this right here. Go ahead and right click, paste that. Oh, might have accidentally fat fingered something. There we go. Yes. Now, what just popped up is this will actually say passwords for your servers, and then it's all encrypted by one master password. So you only have to remember one. Really, really fantastic tool. So we're going to go ahead and give it our current password. We are going to have to give it a new one. So this is the one I generated. Now, we are going to be disabling password authentication later. So it'll be basically using SSH keys to log in, which is a very secure method. Paste these in. Alright, so now we are in our new server with our root account. Good practice is to always update. This is a pretty new image. Obviously it doesn't have any, as far as I can tell, it says 0 packages can be updated, 0 updates or security updates. Okay, so regardless, it is going to kind of refresh the repositories and whatnot and bring everything up to speed. It says 40 packages can be upgraded, so let's go ahead and do that. Apt upgrade. While that's running, let's go ahead and press yes. While that's running, let's go back to DigitalOcean. Now, one of the things that's really cool about this is that you can set up name servers for your domains that point to DigitalOcean and then add those domains to DigitalOcean. And then you can manage them, set up the records and whatnot. So I'm going to go in here. These are the DNS records. Later on in another video, we will be going over how to set up virtual hosts, which is essentially having a bunch of different domains. You can do this with not just one domain, like any domain really, but also the subdomains and how they're all going to be pointing over to basically making them all point over to binary bytes. So I'll be going through and doing that off cam. So go back over here. This should be done. No, not yet. It's still going. One of the interesting things about DigitalOcean too is its ability to sort things and just very neatly kind of have like different projects. Spaces is a really interesting thing that I'm going to be looking at pretty soon. This has got a lot of really cool tools that you can use to help your business or whatever you're doing. Now, this will likely pop up for the majority of users. Typically, I just go ahead and press enter. Should be fine. Unless you have a reason to do otherwise, just leave it as is. Alright, so now that that's all done, we're going to go ahead and create a new user. Now, this is going to be the user that we use to actually perform our tasks and do our day-to-day maintenance, adding new programs, whatever. This is going to be our sudo user. We don't want to use our actual root user because that is the root. That is, if a malicious actor gains control of your root account, it's over. You're done. So we're going to go ahead and do add user, and we're just going to go with dash. So now it's going to ask for a password. For video's sake, I'm just going to use the same password. Obviously, every password that you use should be different. Don't need to put any of this stuff. If you're working for an organization, this is where you can put in this information if you want. I don't know a lot of people that ever use that, to be honest. Now we're going to actually have to add this user to our sudoers list. So we can do that with user mod -a capital G sudo, and then the username, which is going to be dash. Just insert whatever user you made. Now, next up, we do want to set up our firewall. That's going to be a good wall of defense against malicious actors, poking and prodding at ports and whatnot. So we only want to open the ports that we need. The first one that we first and foremost really need is port 22, because that's how we're currently remotely connecting to our server. If for some reason we lock ourselves out, we can get into it using DigitalOcean's console access, which is the equivalent of directly plugging in. So you're not having to log in over the net. Well, I mean, you are, but it's, quote unquote, just a VNC sort of thing. So to get our firewall stuff going, we did UFW, which is our firewall app list. This is going to show the apps that are registered with firewall, and there's one, Open SSH, and we do want to allow that, so we're going to do UFW allow Open SSH, and that has been updated. So now if we do UFW status, it's going to show us that it's an active, so we want to enable it. So UFW enable. Oh, don't want to do that. Now it's going to ask or say, hey, it may disrupt SSH connections, because if you didn't add the Open SSH, it's going to cut you out because that port will be blocked. Let's go ahead and press yes and see we're still connected. Thank God. So we can go ahead and do UFW status now, and it's going to say it's online, blah, blah, all that fun stuff. Now, next we want to really secure our system. So that means disabling remote access to the root account and setting up SSH keys to our sudo user dash. Now, to do that, we're going to actually enter our sudo user. We do that with we actually select that su dash, and that's going to enter into our user. So now what we want to do is actually make the SSH key directory. So we can do that with mkdir, put the dash p flag, and then we're going to do squiggly dot, that's good, that's sign for home directory, then dot ssh, and that's going to make that directory. Now, a cool tool that's built into MobaXterm is the ability to actually generate an SSH key. So we're going to go and generate. Just it uses the randomness of your mouse movements to make the key. Now, our comment is going to be like, just name it whatever. Just do that. I highly recommend a passphrase. That's just another layer of security. If someone should gain access to your SSH key, which they shouldn't, they have to at least know that password. So it's just, like I said, another layer of security. So for right now, I'm just going to do binary bytes 2018. Bytes 2018. And then we're going to save the public key on the desktop. I recommend storing this in like a digital vault or something. Because people can do a lot of damage, especially with the private key. So those are saved. We're going to copy this nice little string right here. Control C. Alrighty. So now we want to actually make the authorized keys file, which is going to be the list of keys that someone can use to log into that account. And with that, we're going to do, because remember, we are in our sudoers account. We're not in root, so we have to begin every command with sudo. So do sudo nano SSH authorize underscore keys. Oh, shoot. I screwed that up. But let's go ahead and do this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and exit and redo that with a K, not an L. There we go. So from here, I'm going to reopen SSH generator, go ahead and load the private key. It's going to ask for my thing, which is binary bytes 2018, and this is going to display our public key. Go ahead and copy that. Paste this in here. It should be one long string. It should not be broken up into multiple lines. I'm going to go ahead and Control X, yes, and enter. Now, this should be set up, and to test it, what we're going to do, first of all, is do chmod -r, which is going to be recursive, and then go equals squiggly .ssh. Again, we need to add sudo to the front of that. Alrighty, and then sudo r, and we can do, actually we'll just do dash SSH. And that should be the permissions all set up. Now, to actually make sure that this is working correctly, we're going to open up a whole new session. So we're going to go to SSH. Remote host is going to be obviously the IP. Specify username is going to be dash. And we're going to use a private key. So we're going to find that private key that we saved. Should be right here. There we go. Press OK, and that should connect us. Now it's going to ask for a passphrase. Binary bytes 2018. And we're in. Sweet. So that shows that it is working, so we can actually get out of our root account here. And we can go in and disable password authentication and disable remote access to the, disable the root account altogether. Now to do this, we're going to be doing sudo nano etc ssh sshd underscore config. Now it's going to ask for a password. Paste that sucker in. Alrighty, and this is what we're actually going to be editing. So right here, permit root login, change that to no. Scroll down a bit. Password authentication, change that as well to no. So with this, we're going to write out, and now we can only log in with that SSH key. So if you lose it or something happens, you are screwed. But no one else can get in without that key, and if they do have that key, they need your passphrase. So it's a really good layer of defense, and we can actually add an additional layer of defense. For those of you who are familiar with Google Authenticator, you can use that to generate a one-time passcode that you'll use in addition to all this to log in. So it's a very secure setup. Now, in conclusion, the last thing that we need to do, just to make sure everything's all good in the hood, is sudo service SSH restart. That's going to restart the SSH service, and it should be good. With that restart, it's going to make sure that no one can log in to the root and no one can log in with a password. And so it's just SSH keys. So with that, your initial setup with Ubuntu 18.04 is done. Your server is, for the most part, secured. There are some things you can do to better secure, but for most people and most businesses, this is more than enough. The next video, we're going to be going over how to actually set up a LAMP stack as well as phpMyAdmin, and then we're going to be going into securing that with SSL and setting up load balancers for two identical droplets of VPSs. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, or want to see a specific video, please drop it down in the comments, and I'll do my best to address them. Thank you much, and have an awesome day.